In the quiet of a Georgia evening, the calm was shattered by a desperate plea. "I think he's been shot. He's barely breathing." The words hung heavy in the air, a stark prelude to the chaos that had just unfolded. On the night of March 21st, 2023, a successful auto shop owner was found clinging to life in his Georgia home, shot point-blank in the head. The suspect? A glamorous 29-year-old social media influencer who had once charmed her way into his life and his bank account. The story begins with a man whose life seemed to be on the right track. Malcolm Reed, a man in his early 40s, had built a stable life for himself after the tragic loss of his wife. He ran a successful auto repair business, owned a cozy 3-bedroom home, and kept a low profile, content with his predictable routine. His world, however, was about to be turned upside down by a woman who would change everything. Lissa Gaines, born in 1993, was a woman who had mastered the art of presenting a perfect life online. Her Instagram and TikTok feeds were filled with images of luxury, rooftop brunches, expensive cosmetics, and curated selfies accompanied by motivational quotes. Behind the scenes, however, was a different story. Lissa struggled to make ends meet with her inconsistent freelance makeup work. Her rent was months overdue, and she owed thousands on multiple credit cards. Before we continue with this twisted tale, let us know in the comments, where are you watching from? We would love to know how wide our videos get. In the world of social media, appearances can be deceiving. Lissa Gaines, born in 1993 in Tampa, Florida, was the epitome of the modern influencer. Her Instagram feed showcased a life of luxury, designer handbags, rooftop brunches, and boutique shopping sprees. But beneath the surface, Lissa was drowning in $18,000 of credit card debt and had been evicted twice. Her freelance makeup work was inconsistent, and she struggled to make ends meet. Despite her online persona, Lissa's life was a fragile facade. On the other side was Malcolm Reed, born in 1980 in Decatur, Alabama. He owned Reed's Auto Works, a successful business that provided him financial stability. Widowed in 2017, Malcolm had poured his heart into his work, earning a reputation for kindness and reliability. He lived a quiet, predictable life, content with its simple joys. When their paths crossed, it felt like fate. Lissa, with her charismatic charm, seemed like a breath of fresh air to Malcolm. He was captivated by her zest for life, seeing her as a chance for a new beginning. But Lissa saw an opportunity to escape her financial troubles and step into a life of stability and luxury. The contrast between them was undeniable. Lissa's glamorous online persona and troubled reality clashed with Malcolm's quiet strength and unwavering kindness. Their worlds collided in unexpected ways, setting the stage for a story that would change both of their lives forever. On a crisp November evening in 2022, Atlanta hosted a charity fundraiser for local literacy programs. Malcolm Reed, owner of Reed's Auto Works, attended as a sponsor. Lissa Gaines, a guest invited by a former makeup client, was also there. The night was filled with conversation and the clinking of glasses. As the evening ended, Lissa's Uber canceled, leaving her stranded. Malcolm, ever the gentleman, offered her a ride home. That night, their text exchanges began, starting a connection that would deepen quickly. 2 weeks later, on November 19th, they had their first date at the Optimist restaurant. Malcolm paid, and their conversation flowed easily. But beneath the surface, the dynamics were already shifting. By late December, Lissa had moved into Malcolm's home in Decatur. Friends noticed how smitten Malcolm was, but Lissa had another motive. Malcolm spending changed dramatically, with over $7,000 spent on luxury items for Lissa. Deliveries began arriving with her name on them, and social media posts showcased their relationship. Trina Reed, Malcolm's sister and a social services worker, grew suspicious. She noticed changes in her brother's behavior and spending habits. Her instincts told her something was amiss. As Malcolm's investment in Lissa grew, Trina worried the relationship was moving too fast. In the weeks that followed, Malcolm's routine changed. Social events and luxury purchases centered around Lissa. Friends and family began to notice and express concern. But Malcolm, caught up in his new relationship, chose to see only the joy Lissa brought. He was blind to the signs others saw so clearly. Little did he know, the story was about to take an unexpected turn. As the new year rolled in, the relationship between Malcolm and Lissa began to show signs of strain. January and February of 2023 were marked by increasing irregularities in Malcolm's bank accounts. Transactions that once seemed straightforward now appeared suspicious, with large sums being spent on luxury items and experiences that Malcolm would never have indulged in on his own. It was during this time that Lissa made a bold request, a $58,000 Range Rover. Malcolm, already feeling the financial pressure, refused. It was a decision that would set off a chain of events, each more unsettling than the last. Just a few days later, on February 11th, Lissa vanished without a word. For 3 days, Malcolm was left in the dark, his mind racing with worry and confusion. He reached out to her friends, checked her social media, but there was no sign of her. The silence was deafening, and Malcolm couldn't shake the feeling that something had gone terribly wrong. Then, on Valentine's Day, she reappeared as if nothing had happened. She walked into his home with a gift box, acting as though she had never left. But the message she left on his bathroom mirror told a different story. "You will regret this. Trust me." Emotional manipulation became a regular part of their interactions. Text messages between them revealed a pattern of gaslighting, with Lissa twisting Malcolm's words and actions to make him doubt himself. In one particularly harsh exchange, she wrote, "You're just like every other man who can't handle a real woman." The once charming and supportive exchanges were now filled with bitterness and accusation. Malcolm, feeling increasingly isolated and unsure what to do, confided in his sister, Trina. She listened to his concerns, her own worries growing with each revelation. Trina had always been protective of her brother, and she could see the toll this relationship was taking on him. She warned him, "This is more than toxic. It's dangerous." But Malcolm, still hopeful that Lissa could change, chose to ignore her advice. He believed that with time and understanding, they could work through their issues. As the weeks passed, the situation only worsened. Lissa's demands grew more extravagant, and Malcolm's financial stability continued to deteriorate. Friends and family tried to intervene, but Malcolm was too deep in the relationship to see the truth. He was caught in a web of manipulation and deceit, unable to break free. The once quiet and predictable life he had built for himself was now a chaotic mess, and the end was nowhere in sight. In the quiet of March 2023, Malcolm Reed found himself in a situation that was far from the peaceful life he had once known. It began with a small but significant detail, a $600 withdrawal from his bank account that he couldn't recall making. It was a moment that shattered the illusion of normalcy. As the days passed, Malcolm's sense of security began to erode. He started locking away his valuables in a tool safe, a measure he had never needed to take before. It was a small act of defiance, a way to reclaim some control in a situation that felt increasingly out of his hands. He changed his passwords, added surveillance cameras around his home, and even moved into the guest bedroom, seeking a semblance of personal space. These were not the actions of a man who felt safe in his own home. The surveillance cameras, a last-ditch effort to protect himself, captured something that Malcolm had never expected to see. One night, Lissa was seen inspecting the safe, her eyes lingering on the lock as if she were contemplating how to open it. Malcolm's next move was to contact an attorney, seeking advice on how to navigate this treacherous situation. He needed guidance, a way to protect himself legally and financially. Trina Reed, Malcolm's sister, one day made a startling discovery: a copied garage key in Lissa's bag. It was a small but damning piece of evidence, proof that Lissa had been planning something. When confronted, Lissa's reaction was violent. The situation escalated rapidly. In just 2 weeks, the police were called to the residence twice. The first time, a neighbor concerned about the noise had dialed 911. The second time, it was Malcolm himself, desperate to de-escalate a heated argument. Each time, the officers arrived to find both parties agitated but nonviolent, with no injuries observed. No arrests were made, but the tension was palpable. As the days turned into weeks, the situation showed no signs of improvement. Lissa's behavior became more erratic, alternating between cold silence and explosive outbursts. Malcolm, exhausted and overwhelmed, felt trapped in a relationship that had turned toxic. On the evening of March 21st, 2023, a Georgia neighborhood was shattered by an argument that turned violent. Neighbors heard shouting, then a gunshot. Lissa Gaines, who had charmed her way into Malcolm Reed's life, was now at the center of a harrowing crime. The argument escalates quickly, fueled by months of tension. In a fit of rage, Lissa shot Malcolm in the head, leaving him unresponsive. She then locked him inside the house and calmly exited with a duffel bag, captured by surveillance cameras. Hours later, Malcolm was found alive but in critical condition. Emergency services rushed him to the hospital. Meanwhile, Lissa used his Venmo account to pay for a ride to a motel in Birmingham, Alabama, where she checked in under a fake name. She carried cash, the gun, and items for disguise. In the following days, a blur of investigation and heartbreak unfolded. Malcolm's loved ones struggled to understand the betrayal. The police uncovered a web of deceit, revealing Lissa's actions for what they were. The community was left grappling with the shocking turn of events. How could someone turn so violently against the one they claimed to love? It was a reminder of the dangers that can lie beneath the surface of even the most seemingly perfect relationships. The investigation into Malcolm Reed's shooting was swift. Lissa Gaines was arrested 36 hours later, showing no remorse. She coldly stated, "He knew I didn't play games." During interrogation, evidence against Lissa mounted. Surveillance footage showed her calmly leaving Malcolm's home with a duffel bag. Financial records revealed she had drained his accounts. Copied keys and phone records traced her escape to a motel in Birmingham, Alabama. The trial began on November 6, 2023, in a packed DeKalb County courtroom. The prosecution meticulously presented the evidence. Trina Reed, Malcolm's sister, testified strongly, saying she drained him dry, then almost killed him. The defense claimed self-defense, but there were no signs of struggle. Malcolm, from his hospital bed, mouthed never when asked about threats. The courtroom was silent. On November 15th, Lissa was found guilty on all counts: attempted murder, aggravated assault, and unlawful flight. The verdict brought relief and sorrow. Malcolm's life was forever changed, and the community grappled with the shocking events. It was a story of trust betrayed and love turned to hate. On January 18th, 2024, Lissa Gaines stood before Judge Carla Winslow to hear her sentence. The courtroom was solemn. Lissa, in a jumpsuit, showed no emotion as she was sentenced to 28 years in Pulaski State Prison, with no parole for the first 20 years. The punishment matched the severity of her crimes. Judge Winslow's words rang out clearly. "You weaponized love and exploited trust. That ends today." Her statement summed up Lissa's actions and signaled that justice had been served. Malcolm Reed's life was forever changed. Living with his sister Trina, he faced daily challenges, including paralysis on his right side and ongoing speech therapy. His auto shop was sold to cover medical and legal bills. Despite the hardships, Malcolm remained determined to regain his independence, supported by his community. As Lissa began her sentence, the world moved on, but the impact of her actions lingered. Malcolm's story became a symbol of hope and perseverance, a reminder that even in darkness, redemption is possible. The case of Lissa Gaines and Malcolm Reed serves as a cautionary tale of trust betrayed and the enduring strength of a human spirit. In the quiet of a Georgia evening, a chance encounter set the stage for a story that will unfold with devastating consequences. What began as a simple act of kindness between a widower seeking love and a woman chasing status quickly spiraled into a cautionary tale of trust, obsession, and betrayal. It was a story that would leave a community reeling and a man fighting for his life. As Lissa faced justice, the community was left to grapple with the shocking events that had unfolded. The trial, filled with emotional testimonies and damning evidence, painted a clear picture of a woman who had weaponized love and exploited trust. The verdict was a reminder that not all monsters hide in the dark. Some wear red lipstick and smile for selfies, their true intentions hidden behind a facade of charm and allure. We invite you to like, comment, and subscribe for more true crime stories. Each story is a lesson, a glimpse into the complexities of human nature and the enduring strength of a human spirit.